I am now and now is me. I've never been this far. Always more than one can see. So what you waiting for? Baby, there ain't no one that's got the light that shine as you do. Need you to know that. So hold on. Everything meant to happen will be if you could only see. You got it, you're good. Love yourself and everything will fall in place.
Yo, welcome everyone to the Gone is Yesterday short film event premiere extravaganza bonanza. Good morning. I have not had enough coffee yet. Thanks for joining me bright and early. Hey Kat, what's up? I see Golf Clap in the house as well, Country Club Disco. We got a big schedule today. We're going to do the film, then we're going to hang out with some friends. We got some interviews. We're going to give away some swag, some one-of-a-kind swag. I'm not going to spoil it. Let's get into it. Yeah, I'm really excited for you to see this. We're going to chat. What's up, Allie? What's up, Halberty? Good morning, Cake. We got Cake in the house. All right. Yeah, without any further ado, here is the Gone is Yesterday short film. Actually, make sure you got your popcorn out. Maybe not the most obvious choice first thing in the morning, but I don't care. It's my day. What's up, Jay? Throw on the place. Let's do it. Here we go.
I let it lead me. Let my heart be revealed the truth. It don't deceive me. 'Cause it brought me here to you. I'm usually the one making the sound, but I've been too afraid to say it down. I know there's something here I've never found. I can't control it. You gotta know that when I'm with you, I free fall. No lying, I free fall. No hiding, I free fall. No lying, I can't control it. You gotta know that when I'm with you,
this feeling, and you know you always blow my mind when I need your healing. In the nick of time, you're by my side. You'll be my salvation, with no hesitation. So baby, take a chance on me. You can come and dance on me. Love is my fixation. Don't you run away. Don't you run away. All the time that you need. What's your best song? Is it this one? I put it on, flew to see ya.
That's it. You guys are the first. Whew. Getting emotional. So, let me know what you think. Go watch it back. It'll be out on YouTube, and it's premiering with the fader. Actually, it'll already be out. But today, stick around. We're gonna give away some merch. We got some hangs. We got an interview with my friend Carmen from Cake Visuals, who helped me bring this film to life. And first off, we're going to do a little guessing game. So let me show you what we got at stake in the swag bag. One-off stuff. We got first this Gone Is Yesterday beer cozy. Keeping summertime's around the corner. Even if you're chilling out at home, you're going to want that. I will send this to you, one lucky person. And this somebody clutch. Is this called a clutch? Is it called it's not called a purse. I think it's called a clutch. But another one-off. So that's what we got at stake. And we have a totally random game that has nothing to do with anything. It's European. It's totally... Yes. Good Seinfeld reference. Ooh, thanks, Maddie. Yeah, I like it too. But those are the only ones that exist right now. And if you entered the competition for the tote bag, also one-off, this is the only one that exists. I have to announce the winner later. But if you entered that, thank you very much. So for the European bag and the beer cozy, before we get into it with Cake Visuals, we've got a little guessing game here. Right before we started here, I went out and shot some free throws on the hoop in my backyard, and so you got to guess how many free throws I made. This is just this morning. It was one take. So all right, so we're gonna see how many I can make in a row, and whoever gets this right is gonna win. So it was literally, how many free throws did I make this morning in a row? Leave your answer in the chat, and we're gonna get to it later. So you guys stick around. If you guess it right and you're not here when we're announcing it, when you see the end of it, then it's too bad. All right, let's get into it. Carmen, Cake Visuals, who helped me bring this short film to life. Let's do it. Hey, Carm.
Hey, Pat. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited that our baby's out in the world now.
I know. I'm so stoked. Can't wait to hear some feedback. It's looking great.
I guess we're gonna give the people a little bit of a quick rundown. You guys really like brought it to life.
I think with the base inspiration basically being the old school 16-bit video games, everything kind of just came naturally from there. The very first title screen is definitely an ode to that. It's just super clean, classic, old
Right.
school 90s video games.
And we got to tie in and write the intro from the studio shot, which is I think similar to the setting from the My Splice sample pack video.
Yeah, we kind of put 2 or 3 different kind of styles together in this video. This one here is basically like a little ode to your core zone. The last EP that you did there, we did the artwork for that as well. So
Right.
integrating the two was a lot of fun here.
I think that was the sort of the idea was that we're sort of transporting, continuing the story and transporting ourselves from the last world into the next. Nice touch on the fade that you gave me this time. Very accurate.
Yeah, it was fun to get your likeness. It was not easy, but we made it
Right.
happen.
Right. I love Obi in the 16-bit. I mean, when we transport over to the studio in 16-bit, all of a sudden it becomes like a 1,000 square foot like like apartment.
We've never really worked in this 16-bit style before, so we definitely had to take a look at a lot of old video games and see like how the proportions were, and it took a little adjusting, but I think we got it after some trial and error for sure. Getting everything proper, like the timing of the text and everything was super tough to get down the exact timing, because I've never really worked with that before, but
Right.
we did it all in After Effects. And yeah, I think the text and all the little jokes definitely come through. The shop scene's super cool. I like it because it kind of starts off the itemization of stuff, which is really important, I think, to the whole overall theme. And we had definitely fun with all those little like jokes in those items as well, like the new socks, which you always need. So
Yeah. Yeah. With the monster proof shield, which was $10, but always making bad decisions,
yeah.
even in the digital world.
All the different characters are coming from quite complex kind of inspirations, and then just kind of like toning them down and taking
Right.
Steam Bit was pretty tough, but I think we managed to get all the likenesses that we were looking for.
Did you start with like drawing each? Would you sketch out the entire sort of scene first and then drill down into like the close up?
Yeah, so we'd sketch out the whole map. So it ended up being like quite a large digital drawing of this huge map, which was quite fun because we just like get to maneuver these characters around our little maps that we created. And that was one of my favorite parts, was creating these like little mini worlds for these guys.
And the first sort of time you get to see the battle screen, like was that? I mean, it's a pretty big difference from the world building that you're doing initially.
Yeah, definitely. One of my favorite things about making this video was doing all the different styles, and this is just another one that we added on. Just a little bit more detail, and kind of that abstract background was super fun to make. And
Right.
yeah, I think this mixes it up and keeps it kind of fresh throughout the whole video.
Yeah, it's fun to see some of the style. I mean, you're kind of updating again like a traditional style, but at least you get to use more color choice and have more expressive characters, I think, in those battle close-ups.
Right, exactly.
And then that takes us to the really large inventory screen. Are those inventory screens like a pain in the ass to do?
I think that maybe the first one took a little time, just some adjusting and figuring out exactly what we kind of wanted to portray. But after that, they kind of came pretty smoothly. And yeah, I think there's so many little jokes and little like inside things that this is definitely like a video that you'd have to watch a couple times and to catch everything that we put
Right.
into it.
I feel like you were sort of catching your stride by the time we got to the desert, because that one was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. It was tough to get used to at first, just like we are trying to condense all of this kind of adventure and excitement and story into 6 minutes, which was like probably the biggest challenge with this whole project. But I think yeah, by the midpoint, by the desert scene, we were definitely like, we got it down, and it was going way faster by then for sure.
There's not that many pixels, but you can still really say a lot with a little bit of details, the details that you do have.
Yeah, definitely. We like I said, we've never done this style before, so we were kind of learning on the go. But by the time we were halfway to 3/4 the way done, we were just having a lot more fun with it and playing around and seeing all this different stuff that you could do with such little amount of pixels, which is pretty cool.
And then you've got the 9-headed bird, which is a classic mythological sort of Chinese beast, but that is one of my favorite frames. We used it in the trailer at the close up there, and you had sort of, the flames, and it's kind of like, it's cool because it feels almost spooky, almost like an X-Files type of thing, but you're doing it in this such a simple like 16-bit world. It's not easy to do, I don't think.
No, it's fun because we did have those different styles. Like we have the 16-bit bird, and then in the fight scene with the 16-bit bird and the flames, it's a little bit more detailed, and we kind of got to like explain ourselves almost, like if
Right.
I could say it like that, you know what I mean? Like explain the little details more so in those fight scenes.
Right, because initially when you see it zoomed out, you might not have any idea like what it is.
Right. It's a pretty complicated character, the 9-bird, and it'd be pretty easy to not understand what it is.
Yeah, in the end, I'm glad that I think we weren't sure if it was going to work or not. And then it worked really well, I think, with the Salvation cover, which those two characters are from. So then we have the climactic world of snow and ice. What are your thoughts on this world?
This was definitely probably my favorite chapter, just because we did have so much fun with it. And it was also kind of fun going like within the different seasons, from like
Right.
the desert into the stormy snow.
And then we got for people that have been paying attention, we had a little guest appearance from Mr. Hama. I think he was in Don't Think, right? From the very first chapter of Corazon.
I'm pretty sure that's where he's coming from for sure.
Yeah, expanding his business.
I think that was another super fun part about this project, is bringing like little bits, because we have worked on so many projects together. So bringing those little bits into new projects is like super fun and not something that happens all the time. So I think we're super lucky that we worked on so many projects together that we're able to do that.
Can you talk a bit about that final boss?
Yeah, so the final boss, we had a fair amount of trouble, if you remember, just kind of coming to a design concept that worked. So there was like a lot of different drafts of him, and I just love that you called him the EDM. I think it's hilarious. Another little joke.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it worked out. I love how I almost think that this guy works better in this world. I mean, you really crush it. I think because if I remember correctly, we probably had the initial concept for the album cover art, and it was not necessarily sticking as quickly in the album form because it's hard to like look at his colors and stuff to make him threatening and not comical and make it arty all at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, making him kind of a scary monster was super not easy.
But I mean, you guys really picked up some of the tropes, like with the scratch, and they're flashing and they're all down at one life point, and it looks like a disaster, impending doom for all. And then so we are switching worlds again, which we seem to do a lot of in our work together. They're falling down the hatch and end up at the bottom.
The ending, I think, was great. It was, even though it was quite a simple scene, it definitely took a lot of time just to get the cadence of everything, like the text and the movement and everything. Just those small details that really make it what it is. Took some time, but I think it worked out well.
Is kind of nice, almost like they're in, what's that movie, like sort of Interstellar? Have you seen that where like Matthew McConaughey gets like trapped? He travels through for decades and like light years to get trapped in his own bookcase.
Yeah.
But so something sort of like that, I suppose. I don't know where this is going to go next, but I appreciate we able to bring this idea to life.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. It all turned out so well, and it was such a nostalgic project with the old video 16-bit style, which we all absolutely love. And I think it just brought out a lot of great stuff, and people are going to have to watch it a couple times, get all those jokes. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. I'm so glad that it's out.
Me too. And also now, we have all the upcoming merch, which using all these fun characters. So they're not going anywhere yet. We'll drop that on these guys pretty soon. Thanks so much, Carm and Jake, who is off camera, Cake Visuals.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Give Cake Visuals a follow, and we'll chat soon.
All right, my pleasure. Thanks, Pat.
Bye, Carm. Thanks.
Always follow your heart. Yeah! Give it to me! Get it now! Now it's me. I've never been this far.
Yo.
Hey,
What's up, man?
Pat.
I'm Cedric.
Good to meet you.
When I need your healing, in the nick of time, you're by my side. You'll be my salvation, with no hesitation. So baby, take a chance on me. You can come and dance with me. Love is my thing. Come and dance on me. Love is my fixation. Don't you run away. Heaven's not just a dream when everything is golden and you hold the key. I need no inspiration. Channel is wide open when you're next to me.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
is that corn?
It is.
Was.
I got this top in Japan, so
Okay. Remember when we could go to Japan?
yeah, I love Japan so much. I miss it. One day I hope we can travel again. That's cool. Actually, I have to thank you because your Gone is Yesterday mini film makes me feel like I can travel to the Far East in my heart. So
Thank you so much. I don't even know if that was my intention. I just wanted to do something different, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
it is a really heartwarming project in part as well because I grew up playing RPG games like that on Nintendo and
Right.
Super Nintendo. Shout out Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
Shout
good
out
one.
Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
So watching that was a really wonderful bit of nostalgia as well. You got all the good parts in there too. The shop, like the sword that's like 500 million jewels or
Right.
whatever.
So clearly you slowed it down and watched. I'm glad that someone's caught some of the Easter eggs because
Oh yeah.
it
Oh
go
yeah.
it goes pretty quick, and I had to cut out actually a lot of the jokes that I wrote. I was like, this thing can't be like half an hour of like text, you
I
know?
know it flows beautifully. If you made cuts, I didn't notice. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
What inspired you to take on a whole animated mini feature like this? And why was a pixelated RPG the best narrative tool?
So the first time I did any sort of animation to go along with the music I was releasing was on the last EP
Hmm.
Corazon, if you're Ricky Martin,
Corazon?
yeah,
Yeah.
if, from Barcelona, then
Yeah.
and I did that in conjunction with my friend Cake Visuals, who are friends from up in BC, and basically I wanted to tell the story then of kind of arriving in LA and sort of adjusting to life in this like new alternate sort of universe. It's not like the real LA. And so I started there and I wanted to continue the story, traveling around with Obi, who was a hit,
Yeah.
as you can,
He's
can imagine, who in real life is much more annoying uh, and much smellier.
like, does he really have a fast metabolism?
He does. You know, he's 90 pounds, but he doesn't really look it. He's a
Oh,
big
he carries
guy.
it well.
He
Yeah.
carries it well. So I thought in this case, because so on the last EP I sort of did that all in post, and I was really lucky that thematically it sort of worked with the record that I had written, and that was just a coincidence. So this time I thought, to advance the story, wouldn't it be cool if we entered a totally different parallel universe and kept the adventure rolling. And when I was conceptualizing the whole idea, I had been holding down a residency in Seoul last
Mm.
year, and then I tacked on some dates in Taiwan and Thailand for the first time, and it made me think a little bit more about the stories that I grew up with. My grandfather had introduced this legendary monkey god, Monkey King.
Is that Journey to the West?
Exactly, it's Journey to the West. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool.
which you're familiar with it.
Yeah, actually, quick aside,
Yeah.
Damon Albarn
Yeah.
uh, scored some sort of opera about it,
Hmm.
and that was one of my first real introductions to it. But I was an anime kid, and I know Dragon Ball Z kind
Yep.
of like pulls from that as well. So
Totally. You know what's really funny is I never made that. I watched Dragon Ball Z a little bit, but I didn't make the connection because I guess I'm just not that quick of a guy.
well, they don't make it obvious, other than like this monkey dude like flying around on a
R-
cloud and
right.
stuff. I guess. Like,
And then they drop the tail, and then you're like, so once they remove the tail later, you're like, okay, it's not as if they had like a massive pig with a rake like hanging out with them, so,
yeah.
because then
Yeah.
I probably would have gotten it. But so I remember being really little and chilling on my grandparents' like super vintage, whatever, Chinese rug, and in front of their like old, like one of those first big screen TVs, and we'd watch the show, which is sort of like in a live action soap opera action format. I never learned Chinese, to the horror of my entire family. But so my grandfather would sit there and give me a running play-by-play of the entire thing.
That's so cool.
And
And probably crazy, like so loud.
right, yeah, and I mean, he probably was like, I mean, I should just leave you to figure this out. But so I was really into that, and then there were books that had almost like illustrated. They were like larger, yeah, they were like graphic novels basically, that had English and Chinese with the same stories. And so I was I've always been obsessed with this story, and I was thinking, well, if I'm going to tell a story and we're going to enter a world, then why not this world that that I'm familiar with, and that so many others around the world, even in sort of Western culture, even if they're not necessarily aware of it, that would be a fun place to advance the story. And then on the RPG side, same thing. I mean, I played. I'm not great at finishing RPGs, but,
Yeah,
but
it takes a long time.
I love everything else, but almost everything else about them. Even the grinding, I don't really mind so much.
Even- Especially back in that day when it looked that way, it wouldn't really save. You had to like write the code down, and then God forbid you use the code. Like,
Or if you're going to go to the next checkpoint, and then if you got stuck, then yeah.
Kids these days will never know the struggle of like.
They'll never. It's so yeah. So and that's why I think we have the storytelling. Was such an integral part of that, and that's something that clearly there's a common thread there. And so I was like, how can I put these different things together, sneaking a lot of different whether it's like specifically Asian or specifically Chinese culture references or jokes, and sort of combine. It's a bit of a mishmash in the same way that I sort of am, like being first generation Canadian and having my own take on it. Like, it's certainly not like a A to A sort of thing. It's not meant to be, but it's more like this was what all the and some of the characters were pulled more from Southeast Asian. It's certainly not all Singapore, all Chinese, but I think the scope of the tale is so far reaching that hopefully it works.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I also love that the monster is EDM. It's deep EDM.
Little, I wasn't too subtle about that part.
No, but it's really funny.
Thanks.
But you scripted this yourself? How
Yeah.
was that process? Did you work with someone on that, or?
So no, I've been sitting on the whole concept, and then my animators, Cake Visual, shout out Carmen and Jake, they were like, we have this big job, we won't be able to work on anything, so we need to like finish this by December 31st. And I was like, it's like end of November, and I was like, I don't have anything.
Yo, nothing like a deadline to get those juices flowing.
Right? Yeah, it works in music. It works clear. I guess it works in script writing as well. So I literally just went. I was chipping away at what I thought was going to be the EP, or what ended up being the EP, half of it at the time, and I just dropped it basically, and was like, okay, what are the scenes? What are the chapters? The main points, and then you go from there to storyboard. I can't draw at all, so I'm literally just doing stick figures and sending screen caps of like things and worlds, and then lastly comes the script. But that's easier to tweak because I think on their end it was just like, I mean, you just use a program. I don't know, After Effects
some
or
text to, like,
right. So that part was not so bad, but the timing and pacing, I did some editing. I did a few edits as well. It was a really cool experience, especially to see the first scene, like the first time I got the draft back, not knowing what music would be under there at that point, was when we're transported into the 16-bit studio and then first enter like the verdant fields where they meet I don't even remember his name, Tony, where they meet Tony for the first time. And I just got excited because I recognized, I was like, oh, they brought it to life in such a vivid way. I'm like, okay, I think we can do this now.
Yeah, it's so great. I loved every scene. I love the snowy mountain. I love the battle. You really hit the nail on the head.
Oh, thank you.
As
So
a nerd, I fully approve.
thank you so much. It was stressing me out. I had all these different potential endings, and is
Oh,
like probably if you gave me, another year, I would spend that time like
yeah,
doing
yeah.
alternate cuts. But hopefully it connects, and it's just like a fun story, and who knows where it'll go.
How was it then transcribing this story into the music of the EP? Because clearly the visual concept came first.
Right.
And how did you tie into the music all of these influences that were going into the film itself?
Right. So I think the themes, the songs that were written, or at least in demo form, Free Fall was already. I had known that that was probably going to be the next song, and that worked. Is it's about falling, and there's waterfalls, and so that
Oh,
wasn't going
yeah.
to be too difficult. Salvation, I felt like I was sitting on it, but the story behind Salvation is I wrote that in Berlin, and well, as you already know, but meeting Cedric Perry for the first time that day at Ableton headquarters, and we just sat down for a little jam, and we just clicked like that. He's so incredible.
Awesome.
That my approach at first with that song was a more minimal, kind of ethereal thing. I just, had these like snaps, and at first I was like, I don't even want drums on this song. That's like, I was like, it's gonna be so fresh, it's gonna be so hot, no drums. and so
That's when you're in a vibe for sure.
right. Clearly, in the end, that's not how the record,
Yeah. Drums are nice.
ended. But I knew that sort of place of inspiration musically, like with these melodies that are a bit mysterious, a little bit otherworldly, and that was sort of the hope, in this. I don't know if this whole adventure is just like an allegory for me skating through life by the seat of my pants. Just not sure what's going to happen next.
I feel that. The whole world feels that right now.
Right. So I think I got lucky on those two, and then as I finished No One, I knew that it was going to be upbeat, and Chu's voice again, which we wrote in Berlin, like a week later while I was still there, has a lot of power behind it, and
Yeah.
so I just wanted to match that with like the pianos and this like kind of analog bass line which I played, and just kind of keep it moving towards the final scene, the battle, which that was the part that I basically had only written. Maybe I don't know if I'd written it at all. I think I just had like a melody and nothing. And knowing, I think I wrote that melody. I specifically wrote that melody, being like, okay, I'm gonna have this scene, and let's create this scene for it, musically, and how do we make that into a track that a DJ could play it in a set and not be super weird? And that was again totally new for me, like different counter melodies, and I felt leaned into more of the Asian sort of sounds and melodies at that point, knowing this was the climax. And
Is that on Get Dawn specifically?
that was on Get On specifically.
Yeah, that one definitely stands out in a really cool way.
Thank you. Yeah, so that happened literally because I got the scene back, the final scene back, because I wrote it,
Oh,
just very at the last second, got it back. I was like, okay, so because at that point I had other demos that were in consideration to make the EP, and I was like, nope, these don't work. Let's just like let's just do something new, and like let's make it build around this, and that was super fun, and I was sort of trying to pace the track along with the scene. It was weird. I'd written like I'd almost made like a chart. I'm not a mathematical person,
ooh, yeah.
but I made a chart of like the different melodies happening, and was like, okay,
That's
A plus
cool.
B, then B plus C, and then A plus C.
Yeah, you're basically scoring. You're scoring a scene. Like,
Yeah, that's
what's a way to push yourself? And I mean, you have clearly grown through this process. Like, you are not the Pat today that you were before you started this.
Thank you.
I'm sure. Does it feel that way? Like, do you feel like you've taken some new? What did you discover about yourself in this process? Like, even going back into your roots has to have been such a trip.
Yeah, I think that I developed a newfound appreciation of, of the storytelling, sort of the values that are communicated underneath, which is, with Journey to the West, it's about penance and about sacrifice and, whatever focus, all those, like, these traditional, kind of, we often identify them as like Asian values or whatever, like family and things like that. And you asked if I felt different. I think I have a bit of a better grasp of who I am and where I come from. Growing up is a tough time for everyone, and knowing how you relate to your family or your ancestors and stuff, and how that all fits together can be a really challenging process. So I'm just happy that I was able to pay a bit of homage to the people that came before me, like my grandfather who had showed it to me. He passed away a couple months ago, right before this all started, and so and he lived a great life, and so this is sort of like he never actually knew that I what I did, like and so like when that I had left my real job and went into music because I just really never knew how to break it to him.
Oh, wow.
So, but he was I grew up with him at the piano singing, and even if he missed a note, he would just sing louder. Like, that was the kind of guy that he was. So it felt nice to sort of bring it around full circle and kind of make it for my family and friends, as well as myself, and as well as everyone else.
Yeah, well, and it's also like taking ownership of that part of what it means to be yourself and where your family comes from. Like, you have now given to the continuous story of your heritage. Like, you put your little piece there in
Oh
the
my goodness.
tapestry of what it is. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Well, as long as it wasn't a failure, that was the other thing. It's like, you can't mess this up. This is only like everything that came before it. Like,
No shame.
No
here.
shame.
It was all good. Well, that's so cool. I mean, it is to be continued. So what is the future, and how has this whet your appetite to do more involved projects of this? Like, are you right now like, I don't want to do an animation for a while, or are you like, I can't wait for the next one?
Right. I think I'm going to take a second and figure out where the story is headed next. But it was one of those things that I got to tick the box and go, cool. Like, I am happy with how this all fits together, and that's not something I always say about bodies of work. I think you just work on it so long, you're like,
I know.
right.
You artists are always the hardest on yourselves. That's what I've noticed.
But no, but I'm happy because it links me to this much bigger thing and to where I come from. So in that sense, I can walk away from it and be like, cool. And it is really it's really rewarding to see people pick out the influences, or even the vocalists on the EP have a look, watch the film and be like, and respond to it in the ways that they have. So it's like, oh, cool. I wasn't just like crazy and going for it.
People like this. That's awesome. I'm really glad that you made it. I love it. I'm so glad I got to come here and talk to you about it, get the story.
Kat, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. I know that you've been crushing it on your streams and interviews.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, every Thursday I do an interview kind of like this with a different, so far it's been DJs and producers because, that's kind of like my world that I live in. And it's been really fun. I call it Cat Calls. And I'd love to have you on the show sometime. We need to do this again over on my channel.
I'm totally there. We can just talk about like obscure music trivia. Thanks so much again, Kat, for hanging out.
Thank you. Thanks for making this beautiful mini film, and bringing some 6.5 minutes of joy to my life.
That you enjoyed it. Have a good one, Kat.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Also, with the rest of the carcass, you can make a stock and use that to make more rice or a pho. Hello. Hey, geez. How you doing?
I'm well, man. How you going?
Doing great. Living the dream. I love this sweater. What's going on with this sweater? I want one.
I was like, I've been a bit of a grandma. I'm just embracing it. I'm embracing it, honey. I'm in the mom jeans. I've like progressed from just only wearing sweats.
Yeah, but you're still styling though. That's pretty hard for just being around the house.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. What albums are we looking at on the back wall there? You got the Dilla.
Let me
Dilla
show you.
demos.
We got some Dilla. How can I flip this thing? We got Dilla. I made a mine, printed out some of mine, and I was like, this is a little bit too much. I need to add some goodness to this. We got Keith Jarrett, we got Maddie Makeba, Stevie, Sarah Vaughan.
Ooh.
A bit of Janet.
That's crushing it.
Yeah.
Is this your studio at home or where?
Yeah, this is my little home setup.
The snapshot has come up on my screen. That's hilarious. It's got like my face, my lips, and part of it.
I'm really embracing the whole grandma thing. I'm just like touching buttons. I'm like, what is this doing?
I'm in sunny LA right now, and I know you're in Australia.
I'm in sunny Sydney. Yes, I'm in Kensington, so I'm not too far from the beaches, which is great. Not that we can swim right now, but just the thought of it.
Right.
Makes me feel good.
Are you staring longingly out the window at sunsets?
Waiting. Yeah, man, we're just getting through, aren't we? Doing what we got to do during these times.
It's interesting because been putting out this record and starting with Free Fall, our song firstly, and I think people have been really into it and really excited and I don't know, just ready for something uplifting and anything to distract from some of the stuff that's going on out there.
Can I tell you, today I was doing my little workout. And then I put on the whole EP and I honestly had to have a break. I just stopped doing my workout and I just started dancing.
Oh my God.
Congratulations, man. The whole thing is absolute fire.
Oh,
I love
thanks.
it so much.
You're so sweet.
I feel really, I'm so grateful to be on it.
I'm so grateful that that we were able to work together and that, you were down for the song. And so I guess setting the stage, like, cause we when we first met, the one time that you were in LA and I was in my old place in Mar Vista with you remember Obi? He was there making a fuss. He's still so annoying, but and you just waltzed in breezy.
What? No, wait, weren't you like not supposed to be there or something? Didn't you come from somewhere else and you were like, oh damn, you're here?
I have a selective memory.
I swear you were like, you'd just been in Mexico.
Oh.
And like I was there and I was like, oh, how do I find this guy's place? Oh, I'll try to message him. Oh, I think that you were like.
You just showed up. We didn't even have a session.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm here for a song. And I'm like, what?
What? I didn't order anything today.
Let's do it. I don't know. I mean, you probably do so many sessions, but I remember it being like really, really chill. And we were just kind of on this tropical sort of, I was just listening to the very, very first version that I still have in my iTunes. I should send that back to you. And it's so different. But you already had sort of, I think you quickly, do you remember like how that song came together on your side of things?
I think it was just like most things, like it just came out and I didn't do all the lyrics that day. I think I might have changed the second way, but I think it just came out. Like whatever you had cooking at the time, obviously inspired.
Yeah, it was a very sort of almost like a soca, like dance hall, but like I was just the beat was just going like.
But I think I was sinking into. That's why I was like, ooh, free fall. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Feeling it. Yeah.
And then it was sort of interesting because like later on, I tried a couple different things with it, and I just wasn't there on my side of things. And I loved the song, and then when this EP was sort of the next priority, I was like writing these different things, and I was like, oh, this is in the same key. It's much faster. Well, that was what was up because it was something like almost 10. It probably went from like 115, the earlier version, the first version that we did, the scratch, and then this one is like 120. I don't know, 123, 125.
Actually,
it's quick.
Yeah.
And then you just crush it out. But you weren't mad at it. Like you just went and like knocked out all of the same thing, and you just that's the pro. Just make it faster. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So was that your first time in LA, or had you been coming to LA to write?
No, I haven't been to LA a whole bunch. I think that was the first time that I'd had sessions in LA.
Okay.
And I loved meeting you, man. Like, you're a breath of fresh air. Just so chill, so lovely.
Oh, thanks.
And especially
you are.
So I had a really good time. And you knew all the good spots to eat. And you always give me, like, recommendations, which is amazing.
Oh, I must have been faking pretty hard. It's like early days in LA.
And I was just doing a whole bunch of sessions. And then we went to Texas for South by.
What did you think of Austin?
Oh, it was so awesome. I just think of the barbecues, man.
Yes, true. That's what's up. Yeah.
I think it's just a weird stereotype that people think Australians and Barbies, but like that was on a whole different level. Like I still salivate just thinking about those meals.
Right. You did that song you did with Rudimental, which was sort of one of my first introductions to your music, and I was like, and you just crushed it. I think I was just like kind of in awe because South by is pretty sceney, and sometimes it might be intimidating for some people like performing if there's not much energy or there's not that many people like in the building at that time. I think you had like a afternoon. It was a daytime slot, but you just went out there and like crushed.
I had so many. I had some random ones.
Right.
Oh no, it was hilarious. Like looking back, we're like, damn, remember that time we were performing in a hotel lobby? Like
right. What was the best part of like for that trip other than the barbecue?
Honestly, there's that energy that's in the air at that time of year. Like that's the first time I've been to Austin.
Right.
So I'm not sure what it's like all the time, but there was just so much that it was like electricity in the air. You know what I mean? Everywhere you turn, something's happening. So many new, exciting people, artists to discover. Yeah, just wow. And like looking at that now while I'm sitting in my home, I can't go nowhere. Like that's what I miss. I miss that energy that you get being surrounded by people. You know what I mean?
Right. Just now.
Clunk. You got a drink now.
True, right? What have you been up to in Sydney? I know you're working on a lot of music as always, but how's that all going?
It's all going well, man. It's taken me a little while to adjust to this whole thing. But now I'm slowly starting to get in the swing of things, trying to stay productive as much as possible. Just binging on shows, just doing home renovations. You know how it is.
Home renovations, that part less so. So I was excited. I was excited to find out that you know or write with a producer that I only came into contact recently, Brooks, who is an amazing artist. Is Sydney just kind of like a tight knit scene in that way?
Yeah, we met. How did we meet? There was a writing camp put on by an awesome Aussie artist called KLP. She's based in Sydney as well. She put on this this writing camp for women, and we all came together, and that's when I met Brooks. It's always fun to get together with her. We do our tarot card readings as well.
Oh, really?
She's good. You should have got her to read your... Yeah.
Okay. I've never had my tarot done or tarot reading.
Well,
so
she'll be the one.
Yeah, I don't know what we were messing. I guess we were distracted by the whole songwriting thing when we were...
Actually, I'll next time we write, I'm gonna get her to bring them out, and that's how we're gonna sculpt the song.
Right. Well, I mean, once this is over, I had plans. We had the tour locked in for Australia for, I think it was end of May, or I think it was end of May, and then it was going to be, like Brisbane, Sydney, I think Gold Coast. It was a whole run of things. So when that curtain lifts, I'll be there, and we can do the tarot, and we can do songs. We can put them all together.
That'll be so good.
What is your daily, like, are you up early, like doing meditation?
Well, yeah, I've been, because like when this first started, I was like, fantastic, I'm just going to stay up all night, binge on shows, no one can judge me. And I kind of was like, whoa, that's enough of that.
Right.
Finished everything on Netflix. It's all over now. So,
right.
I've been trying to get some routine back into things. So today I woke up 7 o'clock I woke up today, do a little bit of fitness,
Kung Fu?
have my little dance party with your music on.
Oh, sick.
I'm just doing this job at the moment, writing a little song for a little thing.
Oh.
To be revealed later. So I was just doing some work from home. Things around the house. We're renting though, so they don't allow dogs here.
Right.
Animals. Yep. So, I mean, you should bring Obi in just so I can get my fix.
Right. I found, so he turned 10 this year, but he's still like, he still got it because it's warm enough here. When it rains, he's doing all right. But there's a neighbor. We've got these new like high rises that have just shot up beside us, and they have these like young dogs in there. There's like a new guy this week that's like a Samoyed. I always get the name right. He's just like a excitable, like fluffy guy, and he's just watching us from his little balcony and watching us like throw the ball around. And he's just like making his little noises. And so we just looked at him and like we're saying hi, like roommate and I were like, oh hey, and like Obi just like he was like, what are you guys doing? Like he started just yelling at us. Yeah, because he was I don't know if he felt insecure.
Did he start like,
yeah, he was just yelling at us. He's not like that normally. It was hilarious.
Wow. Obi has some vocals on him, hey?
Yeah. I think you were there when, yes.
He was trying to riff at me.
We went for coffee, and I think some sirens came by, and you guys had a little duet.
Yeah.
Right. That is coming back to me now. But I'm so excited that you could make it. Thanks for joining us on this little release thing.
Bro, thank you. It's such a great piece of work. You should be so goddamn happy.
I was playing our demo out. Like I played it in Brooklyn, at Brooklyn Steel, which is like, or at Brooklyn Mirage, and there was like 2,000 people in there, and I was like, if the demo, cause you know how it is with playing demos out, you're like, maybe I'll play something that doesn't sound so great before, and before this one. No, and it went, and I was just so pumped, and that was last fall. So it's really cool to see that the people responding, all over the world to some, our little one-day connection, like capturing the magic, and I'm excited to link up and, hopefully perform the song.
I cannot wait to come to Australia.
I can't wait.
It's going to be great.
What are you plugging right now? What's going on, Tandi Phoenix?
Stop this shit.
Plug it.
Well, I don't know. I don't have release dates yet, but I got a whole bunch of stuff that I want to give to the world.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna have to watch this space, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff is coming soon. Don't have dates, but it's coming.
It is coming. Where can all the people find you online?
Oh yeah, so Instagram, Twitter. I don't really use Twitter, but Instagram, Facebook, all that.
You're on the
Tandi
TikTok though.
Phoenix.
I think I saw a couple. Did I see you
I know.
get
I
up on
did.
that?
It's so funny because like when I first looked at TikTok again, grandma me, what is this? And then I started being like, damn, okay, I've only put one up.
Yeah.
I need to do some more.
No, you had like the filters with the dance team squad going.
Woo! I know, it was fun, and I got my wig out for it as well,
Oh
you
my-
know.
Oh my goodness. Like
So
anyone
yeah,
needs
Tandi
it.
Phoenix, Thandi Phoenix. You'll put it somewhere.
Yeah, I certainly will.
Yes.
I'm gonna follow you on TikTok and I'm not gonna be dancing though. I posted a cooking thing up there, so I don't know if it's gonna be a thing.
That's what I need to do because I've been cooking a shit ton, so I need to get the videos of that up.
Thank you again so much for joining us and hanging out and being a lovely, radiant person.
Congratulations to you, to you, to you, to you.
Tandi Phoenix, everyone. I will talk to you soon.
That's Imbo.
All right, I'm gonna see Amira, and yes, this right is gonna win. Ooh. 6 is the winner.